Today on Locked On Rockies, for the second time in 2025, the Colorado Rockies shut out the Cardinals.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 13th day of August in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. We're going to dive into the Rockies taking down the Cardinals 3-0, the second time the Rockies have shut the Cardinals out in 2025. Talk a little bit about how the vibes are certainly off in St. Louis there. And, of course, Kyle Freeland dealing. Kyle Freeland impressing. Kyle Freeland doing what he does best in this game here, as the Rockies get win number 31 and are looking now to avoid that dreaded number by only 11 wins. We'll break it all down, diving into all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Folks, Kyle Freeland goes out there and does what he does best. You literally can't ask for a better performance from Kyle Freeland there. And again, yesterday we were talking about the young guys, the being tested, going through what it takes to win ball games and stuff. And Kyle Freeland was tested in this game. And he responded by tying a career high and getting double plays induced by getting 3 ground balls into double plays. The first time he's done that since 2021. Getting those ground ball outs, getting out of jams, it's exactly what Kyle Freeland excels at, and he was doing just that in this ball game here as he goes 7 1/3, I believe his longest start officially. It's the second career start of going over 7 innings pitched for Kyle. So if I can't remember if that is the new record, or at least tying another career best in terms of game distance for Kyle Freeland here. And it's the longest start of the season for the Rockies, and he comes in there and it wasn't with the strikeouts. Of course, you're sitting there that's not necessary. That wasn't Kyle Freeland's strength. It isn't his best. That isn't usually the area he dominates in. Certainly can get you the strikeouts, but comes in there, the 2 strikeouts, navigates a couple of walks, navigates the 5 hits, and keeps the 0 on the scoreboard. And then in a little bit of some trouble with a little bit of issues there at the end of the ball game, Victor Vodnik comes in and gets a 5-out save, including bailing out Kyle Freeland with the 2 base runners that he allowed before exiting the game. And a prime example of Victor, go get the job done. The Rockies have gone to him before. It hasn't always gone his way. There's been ups and downs, but in this instance, Victor Vodnik got the job done. Navigated some control issues there, throwing the ball a little bit around, navigating the leadoff double and the issues that he got by coming and getting some massive strikeouts there for Victor Vodnik, as he just was throwing straight gas in that in the 8th specifically, and then getting a key strikeout to end the ball game there in the bottom of the 9th with that 3rd strikeout there. So 5 total strikeouts for the Rockies, and that's as much as we were looking at the issues and things that were frustrating about the Blue Jays series and all the issues the Rockies pitching staff was facing. Look at the difference when your starter can give you this. You can back up the fact that, hey, the offense wasn't great in this one. Only 5 hits. They got the massive home run from Hunter Goodman in this one, but it was a 10 strikeout day for the Rockies offense, and only, like I said, 5 hits there, with the bottom of the order here going from Beck on down, basically only having 2 hits. One of them being Kyle Farmer's big knock to bring in an RBI and add an insurance run as the Rockies go 1 for 3 with runners in scoring position. But a quiet night for the Rockies offense. You balance that out with that strong pitching performance, and boom, there you go. There's the recipe for a win. It's playing the complete game, right? It's playing on both sides, like we talk about. And you're not always going to get this, or really often going to get this from Kyle Freeland, but it does show you and it gives you a flash of the reminder of that's what he can do at his best. That's how efficient Kyle Freeland can be, and that was efficient there. He went out there and did his job in this game through 93 through 93 pitches, 62 of them in I believe for strikes. Yeah, 62 for strikes there, and shut down the St. Louis offense, doing exactly what they needed to do. And when you're talking about a moment where you're kind of looking at, all right, the game before, game one, it was the young guys. And it was kind of what happened was the young guys going through it in the test. This was the situation where you turn to your veteran guy, you turn to the guy that's supposed to be leading your rotation, the number one in your rotation, and he goes out there, and not only does he keep you in the ball game, but he thrives, he dominates, he gets out of jams, he's successful. That's the type of stuff you need to be seeing from your veteran guys. And Kyle Farmer, again, like I mentioned, it was a struggle on there, but you put the veteran bat in there, he comes up in a clutch situation, and he gets the job done. That's the type of stuff you need to see from your veteran players in that lineup. And of course, great to see Goodman blasting that ball out of the yard there. But, man, if you listen to the show, if you're a fan of Locked On Rockies, you know I'm a bit of a Kyle Freeland homer. And that's the type of stuff that just really backs up why I really like what he does. The dude competes time and time again. The guy has never given up on his team. And again, you can take a look at the recent game log here for Kyle Freeland, take into consideration the fact that he was severely ill in the, dealing with some stuff here. But this is the first scoreless appearance for Kyle Freeland since the beginning of June. He has given up at least 3 earned runs in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of his last 9 starts. This was him making an adjustment, bouncing back, and coming up and doing what the Rocky and doing what he needed to do. Did his job for the Rockies. And now when you're looking at it, when you're kind of looking at the sample size as well, the Rockies now in the last, let me see if I make sure I got my math right here, 7 starts for Kyle Freeland are now 4-3. They're 4-3. Now it does include, like I said, one of the big losses to the Blue Jays. It does include 2 games where he gives up the 3+ runs in those wins. But he keeps you in the ball game enough, and he's efficient at what he does, and that's what you got to ask for. That's what you got to hope for, and it's a rebound and a response from the fact that the Rockies lost 6 straight games that Kyle Freeland started before he got his first win of before the first game the Rockies won with him getting the start. And then the Rockies losing another 5 games in a row before he gets a win. The Rockies have now responded and started, going into, even zooming the picture out a little bit more here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's go zoom out to the last 10 games for Kyle Freeland. The Rockies are 500 in the games that Kyle Freeland has pitched over the last, and that makes that's giving your team a chance just about every time, even with the blemishes, even with the marks, even with the earned runs allowed, even with the home runs given up. The Rockies have been in positions and fought back and been able to be in enough games that when Kyle Freeland's on the bump, he's provided a 50-50 chance for them over the last 10 starts. And again, I'm splitting hairs. I'm looking for the things, but that's the type of trends. That's the type of stuff that you like. As I again say, as much as I speak highly of Kyle Freeland, as much as I like him, I again say that he would not be the number 1 starter on very many teams, if any teams in baseball. He's most definitely a back-end rotation guy in the grand scheme of things, but he's been a guy that goes out and performs and competes for the Rockies time and time again. And when you get nights like this one, you're reminded that this guy's got stuff. When this guy's, this guy is able to get out of jams. This guy is efficient. This guy can handle business here. And I'm a sucker for the story. I'm a sucker for the hometown guy that's never given up on the Rockies, that continues to go out and compete for them, and be someone that wants to go out and help put the Rockies in a position to win. So the criticisms are fair. The frustrations and the issues that you might have with Kyle Freeland are valid. The numbers back it up. But then he can give you one of these type of performances. He reminds you with these type of things. And like I said, over the last 10 games, he helps this team get into a position to win. And I feel more confident when Kyle Freeland is on the bump than just about any Rocky starter. Chase Dolander's young, and when he's got the smoke, I still think the inexperience there. But out of all the Rockies there, and I was hoping that it would be a little bit different with Herman this year. But Kyle Freeland has been the one thing over the last few years, and it's bit me in the butt sometimes. Sure, it's never worked out. It hasn't worked out every time, as we've highlighted this year, and we've highlighted in the numbers. But this is a guy that he's just easy to root for. It's just he's successful. He still is successful. And that's a good sign, and something that just makes me feel he just gives me the confidence and continues to be the guy that I think when the Rockies have Kyle Freeland on the bump, they're in the best position to win. And I, even saying that, it kind of like when you look at some of the results and when you look at what's happened, I don't necessarily, you kind of, maybe there's part of the back of my head, there's something in the back of your mind that says, are you sure? But I think, yeah, I am sure. But again, it's in the context and the scope of the Rockies. That's kind of, I think, the important context of that conversation. All right, let's keep breaking it down. Let's talk about the other stuff that we liked, stuff that we didn't like about this ball game, and keep looking ahead to what's next as the Rockies' long slog without an off day continues, as they got a day game and then a NL West homestand on the way next. Let's dive into all that and more coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes OpenPhone. Folks, have you ever been in this situation? You call someone, you got to get a hold of them. You got to get a hold of them now. You need to get a hold of them, and you just can't. Well, that means you're going to walk out the door. You're going to go to the next person. You're going to go to the next business. You're going to go to the next area that's going to help you get what you need done. Because if you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? No, you called the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important, and that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Yes, that's right, app on the phone, on the computer. That means it's going to streamline it for you and your business partners, coworkers, whatever you call them. You don't have to juggle multiple phones. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more who's handling this. And the AI agent handles after-hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss clients or a customer again. OpenPhone is offering Locked On Rockies listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Back at it here for segment number 2 of Locked On Rockies, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do. Talking Rockies baseball, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services here. And Felix asks, you think Chase is our number one pitcher going into next year, or is it Freeland still? I mean, I guess it really it will depend on how the year finishes and how camp and how summer looks for the spring and everything looks for Chase. I mean, is there a chance that he might be able to rocket ship to the front of the rotation? Maybe. But the Rockies have had no problem and have been very confident with sticking with Kyle Freeland at the top of the rotation with their guy that they've had the most confidence, that's been able to stay the healthiest. Even with his issues, he's hit the IL, but has been the guy that's been at the front of the rotation, been part of the rotation for the longest. I don't necessarily think that Chase will have to have a very, very solid, strong performance to finish the year. We'll need to have a strong finish, a strong spring, I think, to really go up there. But the Rockies might be interested in saying, hey, let's go with the young guys first, maybe putting the Ryan Feltner in the 2, dropping Freeland back into the middle of games, giving them opportunities in game 3s to go with the more veteran arm. But it'll depend on what the Rockies rotation is going to look like here, as they, like I said, it's nothing official, of course, but I am of the belief that German Marquez will not be with the Colorado Rockies next year. So it's what does that look like? What does the shuffling there look like of the order? What is Antonio Senzatella's role, and where does he factor into what the Rockies are doing? What type of a answer to their problems with that are they going to face? And so from there, it'll just be, what do you do with your young arms, and what do you do per se with Austin Gomber as well? I certainly think Chase will find himself towards the front end of the rotation, certainly. But to overtake Kyle Freeland, I don't necessarily know if I see that there. And again, when you're talking about the Rockies and you're talking about their pitchers here, the rotation order doesn't necessarily matter a ton when you're talking about the quality and the dominance of the arms. It's not like you're kind of, you're going from Skeens to the rest of the Pirates pitching rotation there. Where there's such a clear difference between these. But if Chase keeps pitching like he did in game 1, I mean, that's going to make a very convincing argument there. But I think Kyle Freeland is going to be a guy that I think will very much be has very much filled in the Charlie Blackmon role, the guy that's been there forever, the guy that was on the playoff teams, the guy that's still with the team. I believe now with McMahon gone, I think, is it Kyle Freeland just the only guy left of the Rockies playoff teams? I can't remember if there's one more player within the org that was on the Rockies playoff teams outside of Kyle Freeland. So I don't know. But when it comes to, because there could be an interesting world where what does a possibility of does Kyle Freeland get shopped in the offseason by any chance? Does a strong finish to the season by Kyle's standards? I don't think it's necessarily going to be something huge. If the Rockies are truly looking to shed payroll, Kyle Freeland's, I believe, got the second most expensive contract on the team behind Chris Bryant. Would you be looking at a situation in which you're maybe moving on from Kyle Freeland and maybe moving there? I still think the Rockies are very hesitant to do that. I think that Kyle is very much their guy they want to be hyper loyal to, and the guy they want to convince not only him, but convince themselves that hanging on to him is going to be the best thing in the long run for the team. But there will be some competition, and the rotation will be very interesting to see how people heal, get ready to rock, and how the spring goes as the Rockies enter 2026, looking to be a better pitching team. I mean, that's plain and simple. The rotation has to just be made up of the guys that have made adjustments, that have the strong springs, and then can come in and start pitching to help the Rockies win ball games. I mean, these games in this Cardinals series give you the examples. They highlight the importance of the quality start, of good pitching, of good starting pitching, and just good pitching in general. The bullpen slamming the door in game 2, but unable to get the job done in game 1. You're going to have to be consistent there you're going to have to make sure that you're putting yourself in the position, the best position with your rotation to get the job done. So I think that's going to be up to what the Rockies development says. And again, I really truly do believe that there still should be changes heading to this Rockies coaching staff on the pitching department. I don't think that you can, even as we're basking in the glory, the glow of a great Kyle Freeland start, we can't ignore the downward trajectory of the Rockies veterans, and that includes the injuries. That context matters, but we also can't ignore the fact that we got guys that can't stay healthy. We got guys that aren't commanding their pitches. The Rockies have a lot of talented arms. They have to be able to refine them and turn them into consistent great MLB pitchers. And again, I'm just not overly confident in the organization's the current organization's ability to do that. I really do have some hesitation and some issues there with continuing to allow a coaching staff and continuing to allow a coaching philosophy that hasn't worked, that has shown regression, that has been a massive problem and a massive issue on the 300 loss seasons and a big issue of where the Rockies are at right now. Because we're seeing the Rockies' young offense show a little bit more life, and we're seeing some moments, certainly from Rockies' arms, in certain instances. Not really over the last week before this and throughout this losing streak, really. But we're seeing the Rockies' offense take steps forward, being a better team with runners in scoring position, being a better offense in general, being a team that's doing better on that side of the ball here as the season's gone along. But pitching has still been an area where it's been very hot and cold. It's been very hit or miss for some guys. And inexperience certainly plays a huge factor in that. Absolutely. But we're talking about, the biggest issue in Colorado Rockies history has been pitching, right? And so for with as much intrigue and as much, raw talent and as much, guys that are showing you some stuff this year, I still hesitate with the people in charge and the people calling the shots to make sure that these Rockies arms are going to be in the right spot and get to where they need to be. Because they haven't invested enough in cracking the code of Coors Field or really bought into things that they might have, I believe will really work outside of ground ball pitchers and not strikeout guys. It's really I just wonder, have they refreshed that mindset? Are they revisiting their pitching philosophy and pitching approach? And what does that mean for the development of the guys in the system right now? So, all right. Well, I guess I rambled on a little bit about that more than I thought. We'll go through a couple of the highlights, the lowlights here of the game 2. Look ahead to game 3 as the Rockies look to get a road series win and get themselves to win number 32. Let's talk about that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets, and I've used Gametime for multiple concerts now, not only concerts, but baseball games, all sorts of sporting events, all sorts of events in your area. Why? Because prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last minute deals. If you're tired of endlessly scrolling to find the best deal, Gametime Zone Deals picks the best seats in your section for you. And my favorite part of Gametime, gives you that panoramic seat view. So not only are you getting a great deal on that hard to get into concert, you know exactly where you're sitting, what your view is going to be, and what you can expect when you show up to the venue. And if you're worried about what happens if plans change, the Gametime guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and more. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Locked On Rockies back with you here, wrapping things up on this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Rockies podcast. Highlights from the Rockies Game 2 victory. Love to see Hunter Goodman blasting a ball to the stratosphere. Love to see Kyle Karros getting another hit as well. Kyle Farmer contributing with the RBI as well. Freeman continuing to get on base. I mean, he is just somebody. I believe they were mentioning on the broadcast that he has gotten on base in just about every single one of his starts outside of like one of them, which is absolutely insane. Tovar grabbing a hit as well. Thing again, the big pain in the butt. 10 strikeouts for the Rockies offense, including the guys that just can't be striking out multiple times in the game. The guys that are going to need that we need to expect more from. Your 2, 3, 4 guys cannot combine for 7 strikeouts. Just can't happen. Hunter Goodman, of course, playing the hero with the big blast and the big homer, obviously a good thing and a good sign. But those guys just can't be striking out like that. These are the guys that we need to be seeing better strikeout approaches. And we've seen Tovar, especially with an increased walk rate in the even though he's with the injuries and stuff. But we need to see this core, these young guys specifically, make sure that as they go through the rest of the season, that those strikeout numbers start going down, and they really work on that approach at the plate, especially Hunter Goodman. I'd really like to see him really start knocking out and finish this year strong, complete the campaign, especially as a catcher, as he is going to be, as the Rockies moving on from Austin Nola, at least DFA. Was it a DF? It was a DFA, I think, not a full release of Nola. So that means Goodman and Braxton Fulford are getting all the work. So that means Hunter Goodman's going to be behind the dish a lot to finish the rest up the season here as he continues to march on the pace for one of the best, if not the best offensive performance from a catcher, in a Rockies season. So would really love to see him finish strong. Would really love to see those guys specifically cut down on the strikeouts. The other young guys that are going through it, it's going to be a little bit of a different story when you're talking about their inexperience, the lack of ABs and the lack of games for some of the guys in the Rockies lineup and some of the guys that we'll be seeing for the rest of the season there. But those 3 guys are supposed to be your big, are your core right now. Those 3 guys are the guys that are your leaders, are the guys that you're the ones that you need to be counting on. Can't be striking out 7 times in that instance there. But Victor Vodnik coming in, getting a 5-out save, striking out 3, handling a high pressure situation, keeping a game close, keeping the Rockies in a situation, navigating the issues that Kyle Freeland was that left him with there. That's a great sign when you're talking about a guy that's got future closer hopes for the Rockies, or 8th inning guy, high leverage, key situation. He comes in there and he's able to pump the gas and get the job done. 27 pitches he throws, 19 of them for strikes. He's got a 3.82 ERA on the season. So again, quick game, interesting game, and the Rockies is not blowing you away with anything like that, but a solid victory, and the Rockies get win number 31 and hold off the 100 losses for another day. Well, it'd be a lot more days until they do that, but it's going to take one extra one. Thanks to that one. All right, the Rockies are going to be finishing up this series here as Austin Gomber returns again to St. Louis. Always something to look for as he's looking for his first win of the season. And we got Michael McGreevy here on the other side. And so far, pretty solid debut or start to the season here for him in these 45 innings pitched. Someone that's like kind of Austin, getting his season started a little bit later for the the 25-year-old. Did he pitch against? Yes, he did pitch against the Rockies, going 7 innings at Coors Field, allowing 7 hits and only 1 earned run there. 2 total runs, but 1 earned run in that one. Only the 1 strikeout, so wasn't dominating the Rockies with the strikeout, and hasn't necessarily been dominating a lot of folks with the strikeout here. Having 3 in his last appearance against the Cubs. But an interesting note here, the Cardinals have won 4 out of the last 5 games that McGreevy has pitched in. So the Rockies looking to shake that up a little bit and get revenge here, as McGreevy's sitting at a 1.22 whip, a 4.40 ERA with 26 strikeouts and 45 innings worth of work. Has allowed 48 hits. So if the Rockies can get some hits going, which they've struggled out the gate with, I mean, the Rockies being no hit until the middle of the ball game, basically, and not so much the middle in game 2, but the first time through the lineup there You don't want to be in a situation where you're in trouble here. Big difference between Gomber and McGreevy in this matchup. 14 walks for Austin Gomber and 12 home runs allowed in 49 innings worth of 49 and 2/3 innings of work. 1.57 whip for Austin Gomber and a 6.52 ERA. So he's got to be effective. He's got to execute, and he's got to keep the Cardinals off the scoreboard to give the Rockies a chance at the series win. We'll see how it all goes down. It's going to be an early one for you. It's got day baseball here on the getaway day on Wednesday. We'll be reacting to that and looking ahead to the Diamondback series on the next episode of Locked On Rockies, because that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, and you can find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night for all the action from around the diamond every night, every game. And if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.